The Valkyrie had conquered 17 star systems before they reached Earth. Their ships blocked out the sun over major cities. Their soldiers marched through streets without fear. They had never lost a war. They believed they never would. Commander Yeltis stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the blue planet below. His species had evolved on a cold world where water stayed frozen for most of the year. They breathed nitrogen and feared heat above all things. Fire was their ancient enemy. It had killed their ancestors. It haunted their nightmares. The Valkyrie built their civilization around cold and darkness. When they invaded Earth, they expected quick surrender. The humans seemed weak. They had soft bodies and no natural weapons. Their technology was primitive compared to Valkyrie plasma systems. The invasion force numbered 3 million soldiers. They landed in every major continent and demanded complete submission. For 2 weeks, humans pretended to surrender. They lowered their flags. They opened their cities. They let the Valkyrie believe victory was complete. But deep underground, in bunkers built for exactly this moment, human generals made their plans. They studied their enemy. They learned their greatest weakness. The Valkyrie feared fire. Admiral Sarah Chun stood before a wall of screens in the Colorado bunker. Her face showed no emotion as she gave the order that would change galactic history forever. "Operation Inferno begins now," she said quietly. "Show them what humans are made of." Across the world, the night sky turned orange. Yeltis was sleeping in his command quarters when the first alarm sounded. He rushed to the bridge and stopped breathing when he saw the images on screen. Every Valkyrie outpost on Earth was burning. Massive walls of fire surrounded their positions. The flames reached hundreds of meters into the sky. Black smoke blocked out the stars. "What is happening?" He screamed at his officers. No one could answer. The communication systems filled with screaming. Valkyrie soldiers were dying by the thousands. The fire was everywhere. It came from weapons the humans had hidden. It came from the ground itself. Some kind of liquid burned on the surface of water and would not stop. On the ground, Lieutenant Marcus Webb led his squad through the chaos. They wore special suits that protected them from heat. They carried weapons that shot streams of burning fuel. Behind them walked machines that sprayed fire in wide arcs. The humans had become something from Valkyrie nightmares. The Valkyrie soldiers ran in every direction. Their weapons could not stop the flames. Their armor melted against their bodies. They screamed in voices that echoed across burning cities. Some tried to surrender, but surrender was not part of this operation. The humans had spent 2 weeks watching the Valkyrie kill innocent people. They had seen children die. They had seen hospitals destroyed. Mercy was no longer available. Marcus watched a group of Valkyrie officers try to escape in a transport vehicle. He raised his hand and gave the signal. 3 soldiers stepped forward with rocket launches. The rockets hit the vehicle and turned it into a ball of fire. The screams lasted only seconds. "Move forward," Marcus ordered. "Leave nothing standing." In orbit, Yeltis tried to organize a retreat. But the humans had prepared for that too. Ships rose from hidden locations on Earth. They were old and primitive, but they carried something terrible. Missiles filled with burning chemicals slammed into Valkyrie vessels. The cold ships could not handle the heat. Their systems failed. Their hulls cracked. Fire spread through corridors that had never known warmth. One by one, the great Valkyrie warships became tombs. Captain Elena Rodriguez flew her fighter through the debris field. Her squadron had destroyed 12 enemy ships in the last hour. She had lost count of how many Valkyrie had died. The radio was full of their final transmissions. Some begged for help. Some cursed the humans with dying breath. Some just screamed. "Command, this is Phoenix Squadron," Elena said. "The enemy flagship is attempting to flee. Permission to pursue." Admiral Chun's voice came through clearly. "Permission granted." "And this." Elena smiled and pushed her engines to maximum speed. On the flagship, Yeltis watched his empire die around him. Screens showed nothing but fire and death. His officers were dead or dying. The ship shook as human weapons tore through its armor. He had never imagined such creatures existed. Beings who could walk through fire. Beings who used the Velthary's greatest fear as a weapon. The bridge door exploded inward. Flames rushed through the opening. Behind the flames came humans in black armor. Their helmets had red visors that glowed like demon eyes. They moved through the fire as if it was nothing, as if they were part of it. Marcus Webb stepped onto the bridge and looked at Yeltis. The Velthary commander was the last one standing. Everyone else had fled or died. "You thought we were weak," Marcus said. His voice came through speakers in his helmet. It sounded cold and empty. "You thought you could take our world without a fight." Yeltis backed away until he hit the main control panel. "We are the Velthary. We have conquered 17 star systems. We cannot be defeated by primitives," Marcus laughed. The sound made Yeltis shiver with fear. "You made one mistake," Marcus said. He raised his weapon and pointed it at the alien commander. "You forgot to check what lives on our planet, what survives on our planet. You forgot that humans evolved alongside fire. We learned to control it. We learned to love it." He took another step forward. Behind him, his soldiers spread across the bridge. The ship was dying around them. Fire crawled along the walls and ceiling. Smoke filled the air. But the humans stood calmly, like this was their natural environment. "Fire is not our enemy," Marcus continued. "Fire is our oldest friend." And he woke it up. Yeltis tried to speak, but no words came. He had spent his entire life believing the Velthary were the greatest power in the galaxy. He had killed millions of beings across 17 star systems. He had never felt fear like this. "Please," he finally managed to say, "we can negotiate. We can share technology. We can give you anything you want." Marcus shook his head. "You had 2 weeks to negotiate. You spent those weeks killing children. You spent those weeks burning our cities." He paused and tilted his head. "Actually, I should thank you for that. The burning, I mean. You reminded us who we are." He pulled the trigger. The war lasted 3 more days. Human forces swept through the remaining Velthary positions with fire and fury. The alien soldiers tried to flee, but there was nowhere to run. Their ships were destroyed. Their communications were jammed. They died in burning buildings and melting vehicles. They died screaming. When it was over, Admiral Chun made a broadcast to the entire galaxy. She stood before cameras with ash on her uniform and blood on her hands. Behind her, the ruins of a Velthary base still smoldered. "This message is for every species watching," she said. "The Velthary came to Earth believing we were weak. They came believing we would surrender. They came believing fire was a weapon only they could use against us." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "They were wrong about everything. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not beg. And humanity does not fear fire. We were born from fire. We built our civilization with fire. And when you threaten our home, we will burn the stars themselves to protect it." She took a breath and let her words sink in across 1,000 watching worlds. "The Velthary are finished. Their empire is ash. Their soldiers are dead. Their name will be forgotten. But I want every species in this galaxy to remember one thing. If you come to Earth with peaceful intentions, you will find friends. You will find trade. You will find partners for exploration and discovery." Her eyes narrowed. "But if you come to Earth with weapons, if you come with invasion fleets and demands for surrender, you will find something else. You will find the fire demons of human legend. You will find creatures who dance in flames and laugh at death. You will find hell itself waiting for you." She reached out and ended the broadcast. Across the galaxy, 1,000 species watched in silence. They had all heard stories about the Velthary, the unconquerable empire, the cold warriors who had never lost a battle. And now those warriors were nothing but smoke and memory. destroyed by a species that most had considered primitive. The Galactic Council held an emergency session that same day. Representatives from dozens of worlds demanded information about humanity. They wanted to know how such a young species had defeated the Velthari so completely. They wanted to know about the fire weapons. They wanted to know about the soldiers who walked through flames. No one could give them answers. The humans had hidden their true capabilities until the moment of attack. They had pretended to be weak while building weapons of terrible power. They had studied their enemy and struck at their greatest weakness. It was not the technology that frightened the Council. It was the strategy. It was the patience. It was the cold calculation behind the burning fury. A year after the invasion, Earth sent its first ambassador to the Galactic Council. Her name was Maria Santos, and she walked into the Great Chamber with quiet confidence. Every representative watched her with a mixture of fear and respect. "Humanity comes in peace," she announced. "We have no desire for empire. We have no plans for conquest. We want only to join the galactic community as equals." She smiled, and the watching aliens saw something dangerous in her eyes. But let me be clear about one thing. What happened to the Velthari was a warning, a single warning. There will not be a second one. Any species that threatens Earth will face the same fate. We will not negotiate with invaders. We will not show mercy to those who harm our children. We will burn your fleets and your worlds and your empires to ash. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the representatives began to signal their agreement. Humanity would be welcomed. Humanity would be respected. Humanity would never be threatened again. Maria Santos returned to Earth as a hero. Children waved at her ship as it descended through the atmosphere. Crowds gathered to celebrate the new era of peace. But deep in military bunkers around the world, scientists and soldiers continued their work. They built new weapons. They trained new fighters. They prepared for threats that might come in 100 years or 1,000. Because humanity had learned something important during the Velthari invasion. The galaxy was full of predators. And the only way to survive was to become the most dangerous predator of all. The fire demons of Earth would never sleep. They would never relax. They would stand eternal guard over their blue planet and wait for any enemy foolish enough to test them. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the survivors of 17 conquered worlds heard the story of Earth. They heard about the fire demons who had destroyed the Velthari. They heard about Admiral Chun and her soldiers of flame. And slowly, carefully, they began to hope. If humanity could defeat the unconquerable, perhaps freedom was possible for everyone. The fire demons of Earth had started something that could not be stopped. They had shown the galaxy that no empire lasts forever. They had lit a fire that would burn across 1,000 worlds. And it was only the beginning.